It's 11:47 p.m. You are lying in bed. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is happening. And then, out of nowhere, your brain pulls up a memory from 9 years ago. Something you said in a hallway. A joke that didn't land. A text you sent too fast. Your whole body reacts before your mind even catches up. You groan out loud. You physically flinch. You might even say no to an empty room. You assume this is just you being neurotic, replaying old mistakes because you can't let anything go. But that's not quite right. And the real reason your brain does this is far stranger and far more deliberate than simple overthinking. Let's start with what's actually happening in your head. Psychologists have a name for this. It's called an intrusive autobiographical memory. Not a normal memory you go looking for. A memory that comes looking for you. In 2004, psychologist Chris Bruin at University College London studied exactly this kind of unwanted recall. He found that these memories share a specific signature. They arrive suddenly. They come with a full sensory replay, the sound of your own voice, the exact facial expression on the other person, the temperature of the room. And they trigger an immediate physical stress response, a spike in cortisol, a tightening in your chest, sometimes literal muscle contraction. Your brain isn't casually reviewing a memory file. It's re-experiencing a threat, which raises an obvious question. Why would your brain treat an awkward joke from a decade ago like a threat? Here's where it gets stranger. Every memory you form gets tagged. Some tags say neutral. Some say urgent. The structure responsible for stamping that urgent tag is a small almond-shaped cluster deep in your brain called the amygdala. Neuroscientist James McGaugh spent decades studying this system at UC Irvine. His research showed that emotionally charged experiences, especially anything involving fear, threat, or social danger, get preferential treatment during memory consolidation. Your brain quite literally decides that some memories matter more than others. And it decides this while you sleep, replaying and reinforcing the flagged memories in the hours after they happen. Here's the part that should surprise you. To your amygdala, social humiliation registers on the same threat channel as physical danger. Not a lesser version of it. The same channel. When you said the wrong thing in that hallway 9 years ago, some part of your brain filed it next to being chased by a predator. That's not a metaphor. That's the literal wiring. So the memory isn't intrusive because your brain is malfunctioning. It's intrusive because your brain marked it as one of the most important things that has ever happened to you. But why would evolution build a system this aggressive over something as small as a bad joke? This is where the story stops being about neurons and starts being about survival. For most of human history, you didn't live among strangers. You lived in a small group of maybe 50 to 150 people, and you depended on every single one of them. Anthropologist Robin Dunbar, famous for identifying that exact number as the natural limit of human social bonds, has argued that reputation inside a group this size wasn't a soft social concern. It was a resource, as real as food or shelter. If the group saw you as unreliable or foolish or untrustworthy, the consequences weren't embarrassment. They were exile. And exile, alone, outside the group, in a world full of predators, was a death sentence. Your brain didn't evolve in a world with strangers you'd never see again. It evolved in a world where every social misstep was tracked, remembered, and potentially fatal. So a system developed. A ruthless, involuntary, middle-of-the-night replay function whose entire job is to make sure you never make that mistake again. It doesn't ask if the joke actually mattered. It doesn't check whether anyone else even remembers it. It only knows one thing. This felt like danger once. Flag it. Replay it. Make sure it never happens again. There's one more layer, and it might be the strangest part of all. Researchers studying shame specifically, rather than fear or embarrassment more broadly, have found that shame produces a uniquely persistent kind of memory. Psychologist June Tangney, who has spent much of her career distinguishing shame from guilt, found that shame attacks your sense of self rather than your specific action. Guilt says, I did a bad thing. Shame says, I am a bad person. And a threat to your identity gets flagged even more aggressively than a threat to your safety, because in a small ancestral group, your identity within that group was your safety. There was no version of you that existed outside what the tribe thought of you. This is also why the memory doesn't fade the way ordinary memories do. Every time it resurfaces and you flinch, your brain interprets that flinch as confirmation. See, this still matters. Reinforce it again. You're not remembering the moment. You're re-tagging it as important, over and over, an accidental feedback loop your ancestors never had a reason to break. Culture shapes how loud this system runs. In collectivist societies, where group harmony and reputation carry more direct social weight, studies on self-conscious emotion have found people report more frequent and more intense shame recall than in individualist societies, where personal identity is less tightly bound to group perception. Your embarrassing memory replay isn't just biology. It's biology tuned by exactly how much your ancestors' survival depended on what the people around them thought. So here's what's actually happening at 11:47 p.m. when that memory surfaces uninvited. Your amygdala flagged a moment of social risk years ago as urgent. Your brain has been quietly reinforcing that flag every time it resurfaces since. And underneath all of it is a survival system built for a world where the wrong joke in front of the wrong people could genuinely get you cast out to die alone. That system has no idea it's 2026. It has no idea you have a phone, a job, strangers you'll never see twice, a world where almost nothing is actually permanent. It's still running the oldest program you have, doing the only job it was ever built to do, protecting your place inside the group. So the next time you're lying in bed and your body flinches at something you said years ago, you don't have to see it as your mind failing you. It's not a flaw. It's not you being unable to let things go. It's a 500,000-year-old alarm system, still faithfully doing its job long after the danger it was built for has disappeared. You're not broken. You're just running software built for a tribe that doesn't exist anymore.